Continuing now with our lead story, the discovery of a new nuclear weapons facility inside Iran, proving the mullahs have been violating international law and lying for years. Here now, Fox News analyst and Obama supporter Dr. Marc Lamont Hill. President Obama in the press conference late this afternoon talked tough, said military action on the table. Is there any scenario whereby you, Dr. Hill, would support military action against Iran?
Absolutely. If all other possibilities have been exhausted. I believe in diplomacy. President Obama has promised carrot and stick diplomacy. That's what we need to see.
How much diplomacy? So they start next week with the chat. How much time you give them?
Well, that's the key issue here. You don't want to give them too much time because what we've seen in the past, not just with Iran, but with Iraq.
How much time do you give them?
I'd say 6 months.
That's a lot.
Well, it depends on what kind of progress we've seen. There's a 3-month timetable, I think.
But it's an easy gig. I mean, they either let the inspectors in, the UN inspectors in, all unfettered. It's almost like Saddam Hussein. You either let them in, okay, to look at all our facilities, to show exactly what we're doing, or you don't.
Right.
You give them 6 months to do that?
Not 6 months to let them see the inspections. In fact, I would agree with Sarkozy and say 3 months. He said December.
3 months, I don't know if Israel's going to go for that, but okay.
Israel will go for that.
You think so?
Israel will absolutely
well, you could be right. 3 months goes fast.
Yeah.
All right, so 3 months comes by. It's approaching Christmas time. We'll never launch military action that season, but January. And they're not doing it. They're still lying. They're still doing this. So you, Dr. Marc Lamont Hill, say, send in the jets?
Not after 3 months. Again, that's why I said 6 months initially, because I think there should be penalties in between.
What kind of penalties?
Well, sanctions. Even Karl Rove says sanctions.
Okay, but sanctions don't work entirely.
Yes, they do. See, here's the problem. You seem to think that Ahmadinejad is completely nuts, just crazy.
I didn't say that. Rove said.
Okay, well, Rove is wrong. What the reality here is that he's wrong in terms of his beliefs, maybe to you, or maybe even to me. But the point here is that he's not going to set himself up to be completely destroyed. And he saw what happened with Saddam Hussein, and he's not going to suffer the same fate.
So you believe when it comes to crunch time that Ahmadinejad and the mullahs will back down?
They have to.
I don't know about that. Because to save their own skins, they want an attack on Iran because that galvanizes Muslims against the Jews and against the United States. So politically, it's good for them to have an attack on the country.
That's also why I disagree with Rove. Rove seems to think that you can manipulate those fissures. I think they come together like you do. But that's why I don't understand why you'd want to have a naval blockade next week. I mean,
I didn't say next week. I said you got to prepare one. Look, if China and Russia do not go along with the sanctions,
they will.
Well,
Russia will.
Say they will.
Russia will. And I'll tell you what, I don't think it's a coincidence that Obama pulled back on the nuclear shield thing last week.
Maybe he's got a deal there in the back door.
Of course he has a deal.
Maybe, not of course.
Come on, do you think he would renege on nuclear shields right now, a week before he makes his press conference? That's not a coincidence.
I said that from the jump, that he should have a deal. I hope he has a deal.
Of course he has a deal.
But if China and Russia don't cooperate, they can keep Iran moving, even with all of the sanctions that the West imposes.
That's
so I'm telling
true.
you that Obama's got to be looking at the turf here. The easiest way to strangle Iran and strangle them fast is to put a naval blockade up. No, that's the easiest way.
That doesn't strangle them. That's a provocative gesture. That's an act of war.
No, that strangles them.
No.
They can't get anything in and they can't get anything out. If you bomb them, civilians get killed.
No, but now all of a sudden we're intervening in between China and Russia, who may make a different decision, which creates a whole new set of issues. My concern here is how can we get Russia on board? I think we have Russia on board. I've conceded that China's not on board.
What you think doesn't really matter.
Well, Obama's made it clear. Clearly, Obama made a complicated
But he didn't say we have Russia's cooperation.
Was he supposed to say that in public?
Well,
clearly
I wouldn't mind it.
It's a complicated move.
Russia today was a mealy-mouthed statement. So we'll see. We'll see in the next couple of weeks.
Russia said that they were uncomfortable by this. They thought
they're uncomfortable. That's pretty strong.
They weren't
a little uncomfortable.
No.
Maybe they're hot.
It wasn't.
Maybe it's a hot day.
It wasn't as strong as France or Britain.
Not even close.
But neither was Obama's, for that matter. Nobody was as tough as they probably could have been.
Obama's brow was furrowed. Did you notice that?
That's the first time I've seen his brow furrowed. He's still not very tough.
He had the brow.
He still doesn't come across as very tough.
Well, if he come on a factor, I'd toughen him up. You know, two or three sessions here, he scared the hell out of Ahmadinejad.
Something happens. Something happens.
But I'm telling you, I think that Obama's got to start to saber rattle a little bit. But what
he's doing that. They drew a line in the sand today.
Look, well, you know, you start to move some warships in, just little naval exercises and stuff like that. Sends a message. Sends a message.
Yeah, it's called war. It's called I declare war. That's not a message. That's not a jab. You know, that's not a play jab.
It's a message.
It's a hard message that starts war. That's not what you want to do. You impose intense sanctions that are economically rooted, and it works.
I'm not opposed to that. But I don't know if it's going to work.
For war.
No, I think you say, look,
diplomacy.
We're going to do the sanctions, all right, but just take a look at all of our hardware right in the Persian Gulf over there. Because if the sanctions don't work, here's the next bet.
I think that's clear. I think Obama's made that clear from the beginning, that he always would leave no option off the table. But we can't give in to Israel right away.
I don't see a lot of fear in Ahmadinejad and the mullahs right now. All right.